All right, we are live. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Fuel Live Sessions. We are super excited. I am Oriel, the Small Biz Engine, and we have another great session today. This weekly coaching has been just phenomenal. Just the conversations that it's inspired, and the people that have been able to connect with our group. Bar none. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Marsha Guerrier. She is, for me, somebody I've come to know over the last year in one of the most phenomenal ways. She's actually, to me, my first book publisher. I've published before, self-published, but for those of you who have purchased Soaring Beyond the 9 to 5, this is her. Okay. And so this is my first anthology, and it kind of gave me such an appreciation for sharing in that way and adding author to my resume. So I have a lot to be thankful for, and you are going to love today's session. I do a horrible job, and I've been told I do a horrible job in introducing myself. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a business strategist, consultant. Small Biz Engine is because when I get inside of the business, I help to make things go, just like this fuel group. It helps to fuel the engine and keeps things going. So it's all part of my branding. Building businesses, building entrepreneurs is what I love. And so I do a lot of things. I have many hats, but this is my passion. Without further ado, I am going to welcome Marsha. Marsha, welcome.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
How are you today?
Thanks for having me here in the Small Business Engine Fuel Friends United group. I love it.
I'm so excited every time we're on because it's grown so much and the feedback is just incredible. I'm going to give you the floor. I would love you to introduce yourself.
Well, just like you said, we all have a little hard time introducing ourselves, right? It's like that shyness we often feel, and as women have that little imposter syndrome going on. Sometimes we'll talk about that later. But I'm Marsha Guerrier, the founder of HerSuite, a leadership and entrepreneurship development agency. I work with organizations to help them raise their next generation of leaders, and I work with individual women of color navigating between employee and employer, balance their life as they work through many barriers that we have to, if you're working a full-time job in the workplace, to validate yourself through entrepreneurship. Like you said, I am an author, I am a publisher, I am a public speaker, business analyst by trade in the fintech industry. So there are so many things that we could talk and talk over again. But you have a lot of good things to get to. So let's talk about it.
Okay, awesome. Everybody give us some feedback in the comments. We won't be able to respond while we're in this environment, but we'll be sure to follow up. We want to make sure that we're hitting all the points. Do write any of your questions. We got some fascinating questions in, so we'll be able to share those during the session. So, when we initially started with this, like, I guess the brainchild here, it was, balancing that 9 to 5 with, some people say the 9 to 5 with the 5 to 9, balancing the side hustle, all of that. There's so many words. I've always had this strong reaction to hustle. Just because I feel like you're playing like 3-Con Monte down, in Times Square or something, So, we've had to legitimize just the term over the years. What can you tell us about how you've found a niche in that?
Well, it really goes back so many years ago when I started HerSuite, formerly Women on the Rise NY. I really was not so much struggling, but angry. Really, it started out of anger. I working in corporate America, working for startup companies, finding that as a Black woman in the tech space, feeling kind of unappreciated. What a way for me to find my own voice, and I found that through entrepreneurship, through helping and building a community of like-minded women that were the same thing I was at the time.
I'm having a problem with your sound. If anybody's having a problem with the sound, please please type sound in the comments.
Are you guys hearing me okay?
It's going back and forth just a little bit, just a little bit of in and out. So if you can just keep talking, testing.
Testing.
Okay. All right. It's a little bit off, but yeah, so we're getting some feedback that the sound is a little off. If you do have any kind of mic substitute or anything like that.
No, this is the best webcam that I have in the building right now.
Okay.
So let me know. Maybe if you go on mute as I speak, let's see if that'll work.
Okay.
Your sound just went up and your background noise is coming in. So let's keep going. You guys, Rhonda, Deshawn, hello, Dr. Tashia. Welcome guys into the broadcast. So again, I'm Marsha Guerrier, founder of HerSuite Spot. And I really went into I'm a, as I call it, serial entrepreneur, right? I've started and stopped businesses from when I was back in high school, helping people with resumes, doing career focused work, and really, taking my creative side to play, event planning. I've done so many different businesses on the side throughout my, I guess, life career. And a few years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago, I felt like I wasn't really in the game at the time, having stopped and started several businesses, but I felt like I wasn't using my skills and leveraging my knowledge in a way that was, one, impactful to others, and two, supporting me and what I wanted out of my life, right? The values that I had. And so I decided that I would build a community of like minded women who were feeling the same way, going through the same things I was going through, working in corporate America, um, you know, being marginalized, feeling left behind in advancement into leadership positions. And I decided to help women build their own $1 million brands, because I was sitting around watching me help rich people get richer, and as I say, white men make more money.
Yeah. And so there's really now people are starting to acknowledge the inequalities that are out there. But at its crux, there's a lot of us, we don't get our full satisfaction from our functional positions. It might be something that we're good at or something that throughout the course of our careers we landed in, but we don't get that satisfaction. If anybody who's listening, if you're listening live, do hashtag live. If you're listening to the replay, hashtag replay. Give me a number one if you have been balancing a full-time and a side hustle, or you're thinking about starting one. So we want to know, want to be able to connect with you. So with that, so yeah, so there's been that kind of dissatisfaction. And so you start to go and, start to see what fits you. Do you see that duplicated in most of the clients that you coach that toward corporate America?
Absolutely, especially for clients that have been those serial entrepreneurs, started and tried new things, but then just got kind of sidetracked with life, and
Mhm.
uh, knew that they wanted to be their own boss, wanted to have a business, maybe didn't have a creative sort of side to them. And, as they evolved as entrepreneurs and being within my network, one of the things I teach is how to leverage your own skills, how to leverage the years of experience you have in corporate America, using not directly in building a job, not directly related to building a business, not directly related to the job that you're in, but leveraging some of those skills in sales and marketing, or in finance, whatever it is, and wherever you work, you are gaining and using your expertise and knowledge that you've built for years, and taking that and leveraging for a bit to start a business is really rewarding. Unmute yourself.
Thank you. Sometimes it's a talent you don't even know that you have until you really delve into it, until you're able to do things that spark your creativity, whether it's the journal or attending events, doing something more on the creative side. So that's a big deal so that you can tap into it. So for me, mentorship is big. What are some of when you're mentoring somebody, uh, give me an example of an exercise that you give them in order to help them to discover their passions and or develop an idea.
So when I'm getting to know someone, when we are forming a relationship so I can better advise them, oftentimes it's really based on listening. And if you have a coach that's just, or you just meet someone who's helping you, coaching you, mentoring you, and they go straight into advising you, I personally think that's wrong. I think there's a level of getting to know you that it's a two-way street. To properly advise and support a person, we need to form a relationship and get to know each other. So for
Mhm.
me, I I ask questions that allow my mentees and my clients to really tell me more about them. The first thing I do when I start working with any client is go dive deep into them as a person. I don't even talk about skills and abilities. I talk about who you are, what's going on at home. What do you do on your off time? If you have off time, if you use off time, what'd you do when you were, you know, when you had ambition? Because sometimes women come to me oftentimes when they have somewhat lost ambition and so oftentimes are feeling defeated in the balancing act and or believe that maybe entrepreneurship was not the right thing for them, and so we have to discover and go through. There are exercises, but there's just no blueprint as to what those exercises are, because everything is really personal and it really depends on who the person is, what challenges they feel they have in the moment. But I'll tell you, the one thing that we do discuss is a SWOT analysis, a personal SWOT analysis, not necessarily a business perspective SWOT analysis. Understanding your strengths, weaknesses, and what are the opportunities and threats around you. And that's why we do the personal aspects first, so that I can understand when I'm pushing you too hard, what kind of roadblocks do you have in your personal life that will, so I know how to pace you as you move forward with your work with me.
Yeah, that's very important, and I actually learned this in a weird way, with when my son was starting his current grade, and one of the things the teacher wanted us to do was really write a story about him. And so anytime he faced any kind of difficulty or there was a challenge or she didn't understand a particular behavior, she was able to reference, what we shared with her in terms of personality traits and bring out what she wanted of him. So I think that that's such a powerful first step. And I love that you said that because a lot of people, we were talking about coaches, you made reference to if your coach is doing a particular thing, that's probably not the coach for you. And people, they're gravitating toward the term coach. It's such a vast term, and people are actually abusing it in a way because they're not, they may be underqualified or they may not be aligned with your industry, so that makes it even harder, or your personality traits. So
Yeah.
it's important to align yourself, and you can say at that point in the discovery, are you the right person? And I think that clients should be empowered to ask their coach and to know if that's the right person for them. And I've made mistakes that way as well. So I think that that's so powerful. I didn't want that to be glossed over because that's really a hot point.
So
So
one thing that I want to touch on that a little bit, and again, clients come to me oftentimes in a second phase of life and entrepreneurship, right? In their journey, it's usually at a point where they've worked with a very specific niche coach, right? And probably they weren't ready for that stage in their journey and in their business, because oftentimes people they meet people like me or you that have been in business for double digit years and think, okay, I'm going to be them, so that I should be at that level tomorrow. I should pace myself, I should have paced myself. I can develop a business just like my mentor, my friend in my head, as Wendy Williams would say, right? And it doesn't work that way. What you don't know about that person is the years of struggle and the years of challenges that they've gone through in order to get to the point where you see them, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and it's true, and they could still currently be going through something, and now they're able to work through it. So what would you say, I have this idea, I come to you, what is my first step? What's the first thing that I should do after we've gone through this first step, this
You got
discovery call?
information. It's really, is the idea right for you? Identifying who you want to work with, right? You have an idea. It may serve its purpose for many different types of clients, but really honing in on who your ideal client, customer, and avatar would be is a key and essential at any stage of your business. It's truly essential in order for you to develop further into your creating your brand identity. You know, oftentimes I get clients that say, "Well, I I want to," you know, it's so funny. It really depends on where you are in your business, but some people first engineer how they get to their ideal client and look at it. Well, who today I have X amount of people that follow me or that come to me for my service and my product. But truly, when you look at that person and the makeup of that person, they
Mhm.
might not be your ideal client. So you're working in a business unsatisfied, unfulfilled, and unhappy because you're
Mhm.
just working with people who find you instead of
Right.
finding them, and you
Yeah.
releasing your brand identity and your brand message that will target the person you ideally want to work with. So, you know, and I think that is one mistake people make as new entrepreneurs. They reverse engineer it and they put themselves out there. You know, they're throwing the wall, but then whatever is sticking is what they feel they should move their business towards instead of
Mhm.
making it about them, their abilities, their skills, what they want to do, and what they want, who they want to attract.
Yeah. That is a big deal. Give us a 2 right now if you've ever worked with the wrong person, if you ever had to fire a client, if you've ever discovered that. I think that's it's empowering to know who you should work with and to make that decision. And it's okay because not everybody's your client. And it could be a moral difference. It could be a work ethic difference. It could be an experience difference. So you have to assert yourself to bring the clients to you and attract that perfect environment for you. Um,
We want to also know what type of businesses you guys have. So I see a lot of ones, a couple of ones. That's
mhm.
awesome. So share with us in the comments as well what type of business you're running.
Yeah, that's a great question. Would love to know that. And, when do you know when it's the right time? So you have your side hustle. Should you always have the goal of making the side hustle your full-time hustle? Is it okay to continue to balance both if you find that level of fulfillment, or are you stunting your growth? Is there a threshold to know when to continue, when to, burst through that threshold?
Yep. I think every yes and no, right? I know many successful high high up executives that are working their 9 to 5 as executives and still entrepreneurs running
Mhm.
business. It depends on the structure of your company. Have you aligned yourself with partnerships that could help you and have the staff and the team that could help you run that business successfully? So it really depends on so many circumstances. There are quite a few entrepreneurs, and I actually put out a survey of side hustlers um, for women of color that asking them some questions. How happy are you balancing both? And quite a number of people responded that they enjoy doing both. If
Mhm.
you're working in a job and if you're working in a company that really does allow you to be yourself, really does value you as a person and your contributions into the organization, oftentimes that person knows how to balance both and won't leave corporate America. obviously, when your business gets to a point where it's so wildly successful, you have investors. You're making a certain amount in annual revenue. You're gonna want to maybe move full time into it. But
Mhm.
again, not everybody needs to be the CEO of the company they own.
Right. Right. And I think that um, we've really romanticized entrepreneurship in a way that has given people false hope. And a lot of, to your point, C-suite executives, I could say there's such a lion's share that at least own additional real estate properties, rental properties. So everybody in their own right is dabbling, so to speak, in the side hustle or diversifying their income, however you want to frame it. But everybody is doing it. It's all about how you're doing it to make sure that it works for you and your future. You're really building a legacy, and you have to know your why so that you're performing in concert with your why,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So you have this micro grant that it's so phenomenal. So I visited I went down a rabbit hole. I was all on your page and clicking around different links, and this micro grant is so fabulous. It really gives people just the opportunity to step up. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So several years ago, I think in 2017, I started with the first pitch contest, uh, providing micro grants to competitors, and then from there, well, first I should back up and tell you guys that I also have founded a nonprofit organization that was founded even before Her Sweet Spot, where I supported families with special needs and educated people through various programming. And I wanted to make an extension to that um, programming that's in my life and develop this micro grant. And we're able to raise money through the nonprofit and provide the micro grants to women of color, small businesses. And it really came out of a need to for as a response to the idea and the fact that women of color are starting running businesses at a rapid rate, and yet we are the ones least likely to get financing. Idea phase businesses are then further left behind in getting access to capital and or just that seed money. And it's microgrants, but it's really that seed money to help you become motivated and inspired to really help your business move forward in whatever phase it's in. And this year we're so like happy and excited that we were able to give out over $20,000 in micro grants to women, small business owners, women of color, small business owners that were impacted by 2020's COVID pandemic.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's great. If anybody's interested in more information about the micro grant, please do #3, and Marsha and I will follow up with you and make sure that you get those links and information. I believe when does it reopen?
It reopens at the end of this month so that we can. It closed in October. It's going to reopen at the end of the month so we could give out one grant for the month of December as we lead into 2021. And again, this year was focused on supporting people that was impacted by COVID. And as we move forward into our normal micro grant monthly offering, we will be giving out $500 a month for 2021 to a monthly to a small business within any phase of their business, whether it's the idea phase or you're advancing and just looking for additional capital.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, it's really great. I think everybody should take advantage of that. Remember, #3 if you want more information on the micro grant. And it's not just the micro grant. Look at the everything that it comes with, because being connected to, your brand and leadership, all those things they add on, right? So look to use the grant as a springboard to segue into that connection. So that's my recommendation for everybody. Um, so another superstar moment that you had this year was the Her Rise conference with the phenomenal that was completely just out of hand. Completely, as all the speakers and everybody, as they were announced, I'm like, stop it, let's go. So talk to us about the HerRise conference. Tell us a little bit about it, and some of the I guess the pluses, the gems that came out of it, because I know it was just
This year was, I call this year 2020 the year of pain and joy. We've been through so much with this pandemic. So many of us have lost our loved ones, and if you have it, you know someone who has. That's just the way it went down this year, and so much loss because of the pandemic, unemployment and finances, and so and I have a 5-year-old. Let me just preface it by saying I went into homeschooling in March, like so many of you guys, and it was hard. So I've been running this conference annually. This was our 7th year, and I can tell you by April, the conference was canceled. I was like, no, she's not doing it. She's a teacher, and she's I went to a place where I was ready to just like shut my computer and be done with even my business, and because it was hard. But then something happened. My client found me and leaned on me in a way that I didn't expect. And I had to show up. I had to show up for myself, and I had to show up for my clients, my son, and my family. And going through that, and then the unrest, the George Floyd incident, and all of the things that were going on, even within my organization, my company that I worked for, and their response to it was so remarkable to me, in my opinion, that I that kind of sparked me to say, you know what, I I can't sit down and not do something. So I put together a campaign to raise funds for the micro grant moving forward, and also that gave me the energy to put the conference back on in late June. It was in late June, a conference that I run, a 2-day conference that I typically takes me a full year to produce. I said in late June, okay, I got to get it done. And I just went into my bag of network, right? My bag of tricks I pulled out, in response to what was happening this year in in our communities, in corporate America. Now is the time women, what we were going through in politics. I just felt like the topics that I normally bring to the HerRise conference, formerly known as the Women on the Rise Forum and Expo, I felt that those topics were not enough. And so I just really represent the leadership side, and it wasn't just about entrepreneurship this year. I wanted to really hone in on the things that were impacting women of color at the moment, which was a lot of themes and topics on leadership, like overcoming imposter syndrome. I found it very interesting that so many women this year in the conversations we were having didn't know the difference between mentorship and sponsorship, and didn't even know what sponsorship was. They thought sponsorship was the term of sponsorship, like an event sponsorship, gaining money, and that's not what it was. So I wanted to be able to bring to the table conversations and topics that were affecting us in this time. And it was so phenomenal, really incorporating a lot of high level CEOs that were speakers, women that were helping in the fight for women of color in corporate America, and advancing us in our leadership and in our position. So some of the gems, oh my God, there are so many. Helping women really overcome imposter syndrome. I think that was the number one thing. It was the most repeated conversation in every single panel. We talked about how to raise the next generation of leaders, what senior people, and even if you're not, quote, a leader, what you can do to support other women within your organization. We talk so much and imposter syndrome. So you were there, right?
Yes. So give us a little bit of a peek under the tent, what that looked like. How would you advise somebody quickly to how would they overcome imposter syndrome? And how, first of all, define it.
So imposter syndrome is when we feel or say negative things to ourselves into where we actually show up feeling like we're not enough, like we are not knowledgeable and or equipped to do the things that we are afraid of. It really just fear manifesting itself in self-doubt, right?
Mm.
In doubt, doubting that you can achieve something, even though most likely you've already done it, even though
Yeah.
most likely you're currently doing it, right? But I say personally, I think that it is the negative things that other people have told us as women of color and as
Mm.
Black people in general, men and women in the past, that continues to creep up into our mindsets that make us fearful of moving forward and asking for more. We see so many people that are unqualified for the positions of the places that they're in, and likely it comes from a place of judgment where we're like, that dude, that man, that white man, usually wasn't qualified for that role, wasn't qualified for that position. How did he get there, right? How did he have the audacity to be so bold as to go there when he's not even qualified? And when you get there, you're when you stand back, you think to yourself, maybe I'm not qualified, and it comes from that place of sometimes judgment that you place on other people. That's my personal belief. Not everybody agrees with that opinion of me that I share oftentimes about imposter syndrome. It's some, yeah, it comes from past trauma, a lot
Yeah.
of past trauma.
And I think also not really appreciating your value and your worth. So, I'll take a look at your business model and I'll just insert myself. Well, oh, we could both coach or we could both consult. We could both do this. So I'll just follow the path that you're in and try to attract that when it's really you have to cut your own path and be confident that you can and
Yeah,
it will be successful. It doesn't really have to mirror anybody else's, you
yeah,
know? But we all are inspired by other people, and that's okay. But you have to, know the difference. Something else you touched on was people not knowing the difference between mentorship and sponsorship. So, what is the difference?
So a mentor is someone who will advise you, who will listen and advise and help you develop your own strategies to attain what you want. But a sponsor is someone who's going to mention you when you're not in the room, who's going to
Mhm.
help you advance in your career. Both they have a slight mentorship component to your relationship with them, but the point is that when decisions are being made, it's usually a senior person. A sponsor is usually someone that has a seat at the table, that is able to help make decisions within an organization, or just as a referral, right? Even a
Mhm.
referral. So if we're just straight up in business and we're not talking about um, in the workplace, a sponsor is still someone who is going to refer you for a position. And even if someone comes to you and say, "Hey, Oriel, I want you to do this talk for me,"
Mhm.
I've been so fortunate enough for people to say, "No, I'm not qualified for that, but I know someone else who is," and that's a sponsor, and that's a referral. It matches the two.
Yeah, and that it's really important. And people have to be willing to ask for that type of relationship. Don't assume that somebody's going to see it in you and say, "Hey, I got you." Something else, I always call it headwinds and tailwinds. So, it's just like air flight. You have headwinds that are slowing down your flight time, and there are barriers to your success, and those are your headwinds. But if you have a strong tailwind, and sometimes you get to a destination faster on the return, and there are tailwinds that are helping propel that airplane and your career forward. That's who you look for. You need a tailwind who is going to help you move forward. And there's no shame in that. We all need that kind of support. And especially when it comes to 9 to 5, 5 to 9 balancing, because you're doing so much. I don't know if it's achievable, right? But I'm going to use the word as it's liberties with the word. How do you achieve balance? Your mom, you're an executive, you run this awesome company. How do you achieve balance?
No, the word no, basically, right? What is balance? I wrote my first anthology, by the way, is called Life Balance for the Woman on the Rise. And it really is a collection of authors who provided tips on how to navigate between multiple areas and of your life. And for me, finding balance is all about prioritization. It's all about planning, right? I can't do everything all the time at
Mhm.
the same time. It really is about understanding the seasons and the times and the people you need in your life to help you with your prioritization. Child, I take laundry to the laundromat. I
Mm.
have someone who cleans. I have someone, takeout is not a sin.
Mm.
I use the resources around me that helps me get back time in my life so that I can work on the things that are most important. So, understanding what's most important to you now is key. Scheduling time, and so family is always important now, right? Family
Mhm.
is always there. Your self care is always there. So some things are non-negotiable. You have to incorporate them in your everyday life. But for the things that you want to achieve outside of the non-negotiables, it's important to schedule when you can accomplish things at what time. And for me, there's nothing better than a planner and planning.
I worked with a young lady a few years ago, and one thing she told me, she would always say, Oriel, when is it going to be enough? Because I do a lot of things. She's like, who are you trying to prove something to? When is it going to be enough? And I took it out of love. It was jarring to hear, but I took it out of love. She was coming from a good spot. And one of the things that came out of that conversation is look for harmony. Because just like in any relationship, it's not always going to be 50-50. Sometimes it's going to be 100% to zero, and it's sometimes going to be both people giving 100% and you still fall short. So look for those harmonious moments that you can create to keep you moving forward. And I always have to remind myself of that because it's not intuitive for me. It's intuitive for me to pick up the whole house and run with it. Whether healthy or unhealthy, that's intuitive for me. So you have to be mindful, and that mindfulness is what's going to help to carry you forward.
That's a good
So,
point. You just said healthy or unhealthy. And that's something that we neglect for ourselves. We watch it for other people and we tell other people all the time, right? That
mhm,
we can see within them a time where they are maybe doing something in an unhealthy time in their life, and we make them stop and we pause for them, but we don't do it for ourselves. I like to tell people, we've known Oprah for how many years? She's always had
mhm,
this level. So the person that told you when enough is enough, whatever they said to you,
yeah,
I shut them down real fast. When we thought Oprah couldn't get any higher after 25 years of running
right.
so what she do? She got a TV network. Like there's always a next level. No matter
Mhm,
where you are in your
right.
life, your career, in your business, there's a next level for everybody.
Right. And that's okay. A lot of times that people like to put us in a box, or like if, for example, our whole topic right now today, we're talking about the 9 to 5. You're like, if this is your career or if this is what you went to school for, um, you have to stay in that field. We had one question in the group this week, what was your major in college? And most people are not working within their major. They've had to shift, maybe because they wanted to, maybe because, the economy made them. But either way, it's just about that foundation and being able to use it. So being able to use things, those are different tools. So as entrepreneurs, but for me, author, speaker, podcast, what are some of the best tools that we can use as we're building our side hustles or full-time entrepreneurial careers? What are some of the best tools that we can use to enhance the bundle?
Oh, to automate the process and get everything moving smoothly and efficiently, you mean?
Right.
Right?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be through automation, right? So that's the process piece. But what are some of the I guess the tools that we can use, or the check mark? Because everybody's like, oh, okay, you need a freebie, you need a landing page, you need a book, you need to get on a speaking platform, you need to be a podcast guest, you need this, need this, need this. Give me your top two that you would say, really, I found my most successful clients when they concentrate on these two to bundle their package, it works for them.
Networking, if that makes sense. So networking and telling people who you are and knowing who you are first is the biggest tool so that you can then narrow down all of those offerings to
Mhm.
then bring people in and build a community thereafter of your own. And I do believe strongly in becoming a published author and using that in order to highlight your skills and ability, and also frame your offerings to your potential client, right? So when I started this is we're actually in the process of producing our fourth anthology, and I help the authors within the books really develop what their offering is to their marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, from the book and the writings, whether it's not necessarily within an anthology, but writing your own ebook, writing your own full book itself is a way for you to show the world and what it is you do and what you know. And you use that. So, at HerSuite Spot, if I didn't mention it, and I don't think I did in the beginning, we have 4 pillars that I basically believe are the strengths that people need to hone in on as entrepreneurs is mindset, money, marketing, and media. So the 4 M's of business. And in those 4 areas is building up your mindset so that you know you're a winner and you know what you have what it takes to lead your business successfully, developing your money goals and money agenda, changing your relationship with money is very important, marketing yourself and marketing your business effectively, and media. Getting media for your business, I believe, is one of the main drivers in connecting with potential people. And you use a book to help you get media exposure. And media exposure at any level. I do not think that for any means having media exposure means you're on Good Morning America or you're on
Right.
mainstream media. Media such as being on the Small Business Engines live. For me, this is media. Check mark. I you know, I can say that yes, I have been a guest on shows. This is a great platform. You offer superb advice and content for your community, and that's another way I do think people should begin to build their business. So right now, I'm completing a business development program for the construction industry, and I'm teaching them and speaking to them about making themselves known as a thought leader within their industry to attract more of the clients that they want to work with. So
Mm-hmm.
making yourself that micro influencer and stop looking at that macro influencer and saying that you want to be on that main stage. You don't need to always be a main stage act. It's okay for you to build your brand and your community as a micro influencer. So having a book, whether it's a ebook or
Mm-hmm.
a published book, the process is so super achievable. And I'm not saying it's easy because it's not that it's easy, but it is for an experienced person like myself. But it's achievable. There are so many free resources that are out there. Don't pay for things that you can find for free. It drives me crazy when I see coaches or people, I won't say coach, but they use that word loosely, as you said, that are
Yeah.
charging people to form their business, to get an EIN. Online is free, right? If
Right.
you provide information, serve and show impact through your community by providing information that we all know as experienced entrepreneurs and or leaders in our field is free.
Right.
There's a certain level of strategic planning and thinking that we should be offering through our paid programming with our clients and the work that we do. When you're a physical doer,
Mm-hmm.
that's different. I'm not talking about giving away your services in that way, but information that is public and free, help people collect and gather data that is somewhat difficult to find. That is when you will show your impact. That is when people, I'll tell you, most of my clients are people that have been following me either secretly or openly for
Mm-hmm.
years, months and years. Very
Yeah.
rarely do I convert a person that just met me today. And then when I get people that I just meet, and the first thing I say, how did you learn about me?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you find me? And they'll tell me the back history of the 6 degrees of separation through how they met me and been connected to the HerSuite platform for such a long time, right?
Yeah.
So know that it's super hard to convert someone without
Mhm.
building a relationship, even a relationship that you don't even know they're having. Friend in the head is a real thing.
Right.
People are forming their impressions upon you, and they're watching what you're doing and how you're serving them with excellence without you even knowing you're serving them.
Right. You have to understand your sales cycle. Like people think, oh, if I open up, open for business, that people are going to knock. There's a trust factor, right? So you've got to prove your concept, and people have to trust you, and then you can move forward and do the work. So follow the process and have the confidence in yourself that you're going to get there. It's just such a big deal. So you hit on the book question. It was so spot on how it gives credibility as you fill out different applications, to be into different, conferences or whatever the event is. One of the main questions is, are you an author? When you're, approaching the television stations, the shows, you mentioned Good Morning America, all they want to know, do you have a book? Are you an author? And it lends that level of credibility. So don't take that for granted. If anybody needs help in terms of book publishing or anything like that, give us a #4. We'll be happy to help you with that information as well. So now this is what we're winding it down, and I want to ask you, with all of the tentacles and the reach that you have, how have you packaged and sold your wisdom in the most profitable way?
I have a membership that I offer to people where you can just have full access to me. There's a certain of information, like I said, I offer and I provide to my community, but I think it's very difficult. So there's a couple of ways I offer terms, programming, and coaching. I believe that, like I said, there is a level of getting to know your customers and your clients as a coach and a consultant, someone who can successfully advise someone. I really need to get to know you. But like we in a relationship, and I need to like nurture it and understand who you are holistically in order to properly support you. So when working with me, I really look to work with my clients long term, and so we go into small coaching programs together. And oftentimes people just want to work with me on a fast project, and that you're not my client then. There's no magic secret sauce to developing a business. We can't do it in a 1 day strategy session. We can't do it in a VIP session. When you are first introduced to me, it's either you go into our membership program where you can then become part of my community. I get to know you through group coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and then I welcome you to go to the next level and take private coaching. And if you are someone who is juggling and balancing time and you cannot meet at those group meeting times, then yes, you can go directly into a private coaching program with me.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you very much. You have there's no doubt. So a lot of people requires they want more preparation, and the first thing that Marsha said was no preparation for me. I am coming with my authentic self. I am coming to give information, and I'm coming to share and to connect. So, and I think that we've accomplished all those things today. So thank you so much for your time and being here and offering all your pearls of wisdom. If anybody knows anyone who would be perfect for a Fuel Live, let me know. Inbox me, message on here, wherever. Let me know. We'll see if they would be perfect as well. We want to continue to bring more information. You can always do #FuelLive to see this broadcast or any of the previous broadcast sessions and all the information that we continue to give. So Marsha, her website's here, HerSuitespot.com. You can catch me at thesmallbizengine.com. If there's anything at all that we can do, let us know. And until then, see you, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.